Hey, real quick, before you make your next direct deposit, or before your next paycheck hits your account, there are some things you need to know. Because right now, in 2026, there are three new rules affecting direct deposits across the country, and most people have absolutely no idea they exist. And I'm not talking about tiny, boring fine print changes. I'm talking about rules that could affect, when your money arrives, how much of it you actually get to keep, and what happens if you're getting benefits or government payments deposited directly into your account. So let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up on payday expecting your deposit to be there, and it just wasn't? Or have you ever noticed a fee you didn't recognize, or a hold on funds you were counting on? Yeah, there's usually a reason for that. And a lot of times, people just don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. That's exactly why we're doing this video today. By the time this video is done, you're going to know exactly what these three new rules are, who they affect. And honestly, if you use direct deposit for anything, a paycheck, Social Security, a tax refund, child support, unemployment, disability, a pension, literally anything, this applies to you. I'm also going to tell you what you can actually do about each one of these rules, because knowing something is happening is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to protect yourself. So stay with me, because we're going to move through this in a way that actually makes sense. All right, let's get into rule number 1. New federal timing standards for direct deposit processing. Okay, I know that sounds like a mouthful, so let me just break it down in plain English. For decades, most direct deposits have operated on what's called the ACH network, Automated Clearing House. This is basically the behind-the-scenes highway that moves money from one bank account to another. Your employer sends your paycheck information through this network, and your bank receives it. Simple enough, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Historically, most ACH transfers took 1 to 2 business days to fully process. That's why, if your payday is Friday, your bank might have received the funds on Wednesday or Thursday, and some banks, if they were feeling generous, would make those funds available to you early, like 2 days early. And a lot of us got very used to that. But there's been a major push from federal regulators to standardize how and when banks are required to make those funds available, and not every bank is playing by the same rules anymore. Here's the part that catches people off guard. Some banks, especially some of the bigger ones, have quietly changed their early direct deposit policies. What used to be automatic early access is now sometimes tied to having a specific account type, maintaining a minimum balance, or even paying for a premium account tier. So if you've had the same bank account for a few years, and you used to get your money 2 days early, and suddenly it's back to landing on the actual payday, this could be why. Now, on the flip side, there's also been a push toward real-time payments. The Federal Reserve actually launched something called FedNow back in 2023, and it's been expanding ever since. FedNow allows money to move instantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including weekends and holidays. Some employers and banks are already using it. More are coming on board. So here's the honest picture. The timing of your direct deposit right now really depends on your bank, your employer, and which payment rail they're both using. It's not one size fits all anymore. What should you actually do? Call your bank or log into your account and look for any recent notices about deposit availability. Ask specifically, when will my direct deposit funds be available? And if your employer offers any options around payment timing or payment apps, look into those too. The system is changing, and the people who know about these changes will be the ones who can plan around them. And speaking of planning, what I'm about to share in rule number 2 is something that hits a very specific group of people, especially hard. If you receive any kind of government benefit through direct deposit, do not skip this next part. Rule number 2, new reporting and verification requirements for government benefit deposits. Okay, let's talk about this one carefully, because there's been a lot of confusion, and honestly some fear around this topic. And I want to make sure you have the accurate picture, not the scary rumor version. Here's what's actually happening. If you receive Social Security, SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, federal pension payments, or really any kind of federal benefit via direct deposit, you may have already gotten a notice. or you might be getting one soon, asking you to verify your banking information or confirm your identity with your benefit agency. Now, before you panic, let me explain why this is happening. Over the past couple of years, there has been a significant crackdown on fraud involving government benefit payments. We're talking billions of dollars in fraudulent claims that slipped through during and after the pandemic. As a result, agencies like the Social Security Administration have been directed to do more frequent verifications, sweeps, making sure that the people receiving payments are still eligible, still alive, and still using the correct bank accounts. This sounds reasonable, right? And in a lot of ways it is. But the problem is how these verification requests are being communicated and how some people are responding to them. Here's the warning I really want you to hear. Scammers are taking full advantage of this moment because people now expect to get verification notices from government agencies. Fraudsters are sending fake ones. They'll call you, email you, text you, or even send letters that look almost identical to official government correspondence. And they'll ask you to confirm your Social Security number, your bank account number, your routing number. Do not do it. The Social Security Administration, the IRS, the VA, none of these agencies will ever call you out of the blue and ask for your banking information over the phone. If you get a notice that seems real and you're not sure, hang up and call the agency directly using the number on their official website. Not the number the caller gave you, not the number in the email, the one on the official.gov website. Now, let me also talk about something that affects a slightly different group, people who receive benefits and also work. There have been updated income reporting rules, particularly for SSI recipients. If you're receiving supplemental security income and you also have income being deposited, whether from a job, a side hustle, or any other source, the SSA has tightened up their process for how and when you need to report that income. In some states, there are new automated systems that cross-reference your direct deposit records with your reported income, which means discrepancies are getting caught faster than ever before. If you're in this situation and you haven't reported income changes, the best thing you can do right now is get ahead of it. Contact your local SSA office. Explain the situation. Proactively fixing a reporting issue is always better than having your benefits suspended and having to fight to get them reinstated. I know this section might have felt heavy, but here's the thing. Knowing this stuff protects you. And the next rule, this one actually has the potential to work in your favor, but only if you understand how it works. Rule number 3, new bank fee regulations and direct deposit incentives. Okay, this one I genuinely love talking about because there's actually some good news buried in here. Over the past year or so, federal regulators, particularly the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, have been putting serious pressure on banks to rethink certain fee structures. And one of the biggest targets has been overdraft fees and the way they interact with direct deposit timing. Here's a scenario you might recognize. You've got a bill set to auto-pay. Your direct deposit is supposed to land on Friday. But for whatever reason, a processing delay, a holiday, a bank policy change, your deposit doesn't actually clear until end of day Friday. Your bill already went through Thursday night. You get hit with a $35 overdraft fee, even though the money was technically on its way. This has been happening to millions of people for years, and regulators have finally been calling it out. Here's what's changed. Several major banks have already made significant adjustments in response to regulatory pressure and public backlash. Some have eliminated overdraft fees entirely. Others have introduced grace periods, giving you until the end of the next business day to bring your balance positive before charging a fee. And a growing number of banks are now offering small overdraft cushions, where if you go negative by $5 or $10, no fee is charged at all. But, and this is the part that matters, many of these protections are tied to having direct deposit set up on your account. The banks that offer the best overdraft protection, the best fee waivers, the earliest deposit access, they're often reserving those perks for customers who use direct deposit regularly. This means that if you're still getting paper checks, or if you're using a prepaid card that doesn't count as a true direct deposit, You might be missing out on these protections without even realizing it. So what should you do? First, find out what your bank's current overdraft policy actually is. Policies have changed, sometimes without a big announcement. So what was true 2 years ago might not be true today. Log in, check your account settings, or call customer service. Second, if your bank is still charging $25, $30, or $35 overdraft fees, with no grace period and no cushion, it might genuinely be worth switching. There are online banks and credit unions right now that offer truly free checking with direct deposit, no monthly fees, no overdraft fees, and even early deposit access. Some of them are FDIC insured just like the big banks, so your money is just as safe. Third, and this is a practical tip that costs you nothing, try to align your automatic bill payments with your deposit dates whenever possible. It sounds basic, but it's one of those small adjustments that can save you real money over time. All right, let's bring everything together, because I want to make sure you walk away from this with a clear picture. We covered 3 rules today that are actively affecting people who use direct deposit right now in 2026. The first was about timing changes, how the move toward real-time payments and updated early deposit policies mean you can't assume your money will arrive when it used to. The fix? Check with your bank, know your actual deposit schedule, and plan accordingly. The second was about government benefit verification. Agencies are doing more identity and income checks, and scammers are exploiting that. The fix? Never give banking information to an unexpected caller, and proactively stay on top of any income reporting requirements if you receive benefits. And the third was about fee regulations and direct deposit perks. Banks are changing their overdraft policies, and many of the best protections are tied to direct deposit. The fix? Know what your bank's current policies are, and if they're not working for you, explore your options. Here's the big takeaway I want to leave you with. The financial system is always changing, and most of the time, the people who get hurt by those changes aren't the ones who made bad decisions. They're just the ones who didn't know the rules had shifted. That's literally why this channel exists. We do the research so you don't have to, and we break it down so it actually makes sense. If any part of this video was helpful to you, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people find this information who need it. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is a great time, because we cover this kind of thing all the time. New rules, new benefits, new warnings, stuff that actually affects your real life and your real money. I also want to hear from you in the comments. Have you noticed any of these changes with your direct deposits? Have you been hit with unexpected fees, or had your deposit timing change without warning? Drop it in the comments. Your experience might help someone else who's reading. And if you want to keep learning, I've got another video right over here that you're going to want to watch next. It covers some major changes to bank account fees that are catching people completely off guard this year. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.